Welcome back to Comedians Saving the World. I'm here with Ben Gosse. It's Gosse, right? Is it Gosse or Gosse? Let's start again.
It's Brad Gosse.
Brad. I'm drunk.
Please keep that in.
All right. I'll keep it in. Brad Gosse.
It's Ben Gosse. Brad Ross.
I don't sleep much.
Everybody fucks up my name. It's all good.
It's an easy name too, right?
That's like the best fuck up of my name I've heard in a couple days, so I like it.
It's an easy name. You think you get it right. My name's Zahan Khursigara. People don't get it right now.
Yeah.
It's expected.
I was going to call you Zahid just to fuck with you, and now you totally ruined my... What do you think, Zahid?
Usually I get Zohan.
Really?
Because of that movie. Remember?
Yeah, of course.
Sandler? Yeah. So, Brad Gosse.
Brad Gosse.
I'm here with Brad Gosse. Comedian, author.
Best-selling author.
Best-selling author.
He told me that I should say that.
Yeah. How many copies did you say you sold?
Hundreds of thousands. I don't know the number. A lot.
But over $2 million in gross revenue.
Yeah.
That's a lot of books.
So far, yeah.
And they're little books, right?
They're tiny little books. Yeah, they're like, they're children's books. So short attention span.
Children's books for adults.
No, for children.
Yeah?
Yeah. I make them for kids. Yeah. I like to educate kids.
Saving the world already.
Exactly. One child at a time.
One child at a time. So, the one question that this podcast is about is if you were to be the ruler of the world, be all end all, what would the first thing you'd do to change the world be, for better, for worse? I know most people, we ask, how would you save the world? When I asked you that, you said, I don't want to save the world.
No, I don't. I like it going to hell. So what would I change if I ruled? I don't know if I want... That's a weird question. I don't know if I'd rule the world. I feel like that would be a horrible responsibility.
Forget about ruling. If you could have that Thanos snap, and you could snap and one thing changes.
I think... That's a tough question. I think I would... I want to say something good here. Like, I want to say that I would, eliminate poverty or something. But I feel like we need all these negative things to have the positive things. So right. I feel like if I took away something negative, it would just throw off all the balance. So maybe 100%. I'd take away something positive. Like, maybe I would take away, maybe I would take away,
I thought you were going to go, billionaires for a second and go in the Bernie Sanders direction.
No. I think billionaires are great. I think we need billionaires. Okay. Because they give us something to aspire to, even if it's like a fake.
It's a fairy tale.
But it gives us some hope, right?
Right.
Like, that's why the poor man stands up against capital gains increases, right? Because he's just like, well, no, I might be rich one day, and I don't want you to take that money from me when I'm rich later. So, what would I would take away capital gains tax. That's what I would eliminate.
Yeah, I've been waiting for someone to say that because. I would just take away income tax.
Well, but income tax punishes the poor, and I like punishing the poor. I think
it does punish the poor.
I think we should punish the poor harder. I think we should raise their taxes
and lower the
rich people's taxes, and we should rob from the poor and give to the rich.
Some more of an American system, but even more.
Yeah. I think capital gains is a funny tax because they make it sound like we're taxing you for being rich. But what we're really doing is you're taking money that you were already taxed 50% of, and you're investing it, and now we're going to tax that money again when that money grows. So I find that, I think that's kind of shitty, but at the same time, I get why they do it, but I feel like, I don't know, I think if I was going to eliminate anything, I would probably eliminate... I don't know. It's a funny question. The more I think about it, the more I get a little confused. I think I might eliminate environmentalists.
Environmentalists?
Yeah, let's get rid of them. Let's get rid of all the climate change people because I feel like that's just Do
you believe in climate change or?
No. Well, no. I believe in climate change, but I don't believe we have any control over it. I think we're foolish.
You subscribe to the George Carlin theory. That we're just ants on a rock, and it's going to be here before. It was here before us. It's going to be here after us. It's doing its thing.
100%. Yeah, I think we are. I think it's egotistical of us to believe that we control the weather, or the sun, or what the temperature is outside. I mean, we can't even predict the weather tomorrow. We can't even tell you exactly what's going to happen tomorrow.
Well, yesterday they said it was going to be pouring rain.
Right.
I put my kids, sent them to school in jackets, and it was 25 degrees, and they were sweating, and the kids
now you're an asshole.
complaining. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we think we're more impactful on the planet than we really are, and I think just like the dinosaurs, the planet could wipe us out in a second, and I don't think we actually have any power over it. Just like, hundreds of years ago, we used to pray to the sun.
Yep.
We used to pray for rain. And we used to think we had that control. I think we are still that foolish, and we're still that dumb. So I think, let's eliminate the climate change environmentalist people, because they really don't serve a purpose other than to make us feel guilty for something we have no control
Like what happened
over.
to acid rain? Remember
Exactly.
the 90s?
What happened to acid rain? Exactly.
Right, that was a big. Growing up, that was the thing all the time. Acid rain, acid rain.
What happened to peak oil? What happened to we're going to
the
reach
ozone
peak
layer,
oil.
right?
The ozone layer is another one. Yeah, air pollution. All these things. It's like and it's funny because here in Canada, like every time we have a wildfire, like there's a new wildfire happening in a place called my favorite new town name is called Flin Flon, Manitoba, which is where this new wildfire is happening, and it happened because a tree fell onto a power line and caught fire. So a tree fell onto something we developed, a power line.
Yeah.
And Trudeau was on TV saying climate change, that's why we have wildfires, that's why we need to tax you more. That's why I'm the best person, because climate change is causing wildfires. Well, no, it didn't. It was a power line. We did cause the wildfire, which we're responsible for most of them for whatever reason. But it's not climate change. It's just a tree fell on a power line. Who's got control over that? Nobody has control over that. Unless we just don't want electricity. But then they told me to buy an electric car. So what the fuck am I supposed to, how are we supposed to keep that powered?
I have an electric car.
So do I.
Yeah.
What do you have?
A Tesla Model S.
Okay, I got a Tesla as well.
Yeah. And I have a Model 3 for my wife.
Nice. You're a Tesla family.
We are. And the funny thing is when I was looking for an electric car, I was trying desperately not to buy a Tesla.
Why?
Just because everyone had Teslas?
Yeah, but it's the iPhone of cars.
It's just the best electric car.
Yeah, it's the iPhone of cars. There's no other,
It is. It truly is. Like when you get the screen and everything's simple.
Yeah.
It's minimalist. It works.
Yeah. But like you, I considered a Cadillac Lyric. I looked at another car, but then they said there's a 2-year waiting list, and the Tesla was a 2-month waiting list.
That was the other thing. There were just waiting lists for everything.
Yeah, so I got the one that I could get today.
Yeah. When you go to buy a car, you don't want it in 2 years.
No.
It's like when you buy a condo and 5 years later they build it and you're like, I don't really want this condo anymore.
It doesn't suit me anymore.
Yeah, my life 5 years ago was totally different than today.
Yeah, and now you got to flip it and pay tax.
Goddamn capital gains. Loop it all around like a good comedy set, eh?
Callbacks. That's what it's all about.
Oh, man. Yeah, with the environmentalists, actually, I spent some time with Green Party people.
Okay.
When I first moved to Burlington.
Yeah.
There was a Green Party. He was a candidate, I think, a while back.
Yeah.
And he's very involved, and nice guy. We were chatting, and he spent a lot of time trying to convince me to become a Green Party member. And I have no problem with the environment. I don't want.
I have no problem with the environment.
I'm not like I don't feel like going and cutting down the rainforest and shit, like whatever.
I like that. I don't have any problems with the environment.
We're cool.
Yeah,
the environment
we have
cool,
no
right?
beef.
Yeah, I don't throw styrofoam containers out the window.
Oh, I do.
Like Dennis Miller. Yeah. You remember that song?
Yeah.
I'm an asshole.
I love that song.
Great song. But the thing that he just didn't understand, or that the Green Party doesn't understand, is that we also have an economy. And in order for our civilization to continue to exist without completely imploding, our economy has to work.
Yeah, we have to feed the Ponzi scheme.
Right?
The Ponzi scheme has to keep growing, or it will die.
Right.
Yeah.
And one of the things I always say to people is, I believe capitalism is causing communism. Right? I think we're moving towards communism. Everyone's like, oh, Trudeau's going to make us a communist country. I don't think he's the problem. He's a problem. And there's lots of things that he's not doing great, but I don't think he's going to make it communist. I think AI, I think robotics, once all of our jobs are gone, we got to keep eating somehow. I guess the government's going to give us money. I have no clue. Or we're going to go back to a barter
Right,
system.
universal basic income is that what we're gonna?
What's they're calling it now? That's the new branding for communism.
UBI,
right?
I don't know. I feel like we talk about the economy like it's this like god or this like entity. Like the economy is really just a basket of all these things, but we talk about it like it's like we have to feed it. Like, oh, don't anger the economy. We don't want to disrupt the economy. We don't, like, to me, it feels like we're sacrificing to the god of the economy. And so it's like when we talk about it on the whole, and really I don't think we have any control over it, even if we think we do. I think the Bank of Canada and the Federal Reserve and all these guys, they have a little bit of control over it. They pull the levers. They're the controllers of the machine. But I feel like the way it gets talked about is so abstract, and it almost like if you came here from another planet and you heard us talking about the economy, they'd be like, oh, they're religious and they worship this god called the economy, and that's because that's all they talk about on the news, and the politicians and the bankers and everybody's, oh, it's good for the economy, it's good for Jesus, it's good for we talk about it like it's this power,
right?
But it's really just an amalgamation of all the money and all the things and all the movement of those things that happens, and it doesn't really. I don't know. I feel like the way we talk about it is so abstract and so ridiculous that it almost sounds fake. I know it's not. I know it's real, but I don't know that I like the way people talk about it because it just sounds so.
That's kind of like a paradox with your anti-environmentalist thing, because with the economy, we're sacrificing all of our natural resources to the economy, and what the environmentalists are trying to do is stop us from doing that, to make the world barren. I mean, if there was an environmentalist, on the other hand, would we just clear cut all the forests and mine the hell out of everything, and what would we have left? Would we be in a wasteland, right?
Well, I think that kind of is why we're here. I think we're here to destroy shit, and then eventually we'll die.
Yeah.
Like the dinosaurs.
We're a parasite.
And then nature will figure it out. Like if you look at, there are places that have been, even like, you look at when they pave a bike path.
Yeah.
And 10 years later, you go on that bike path and weeds are growing up through the middle of the pavement. Like, we can destroy it all and it'll come back.
Yeah.
So I think,
So basically, the environmentalists are trying to stop us from destroying it so that we don't get eliminated. It's not really beneficial for the planet, because the planet will keep going.
Nobody cares about the planet.
No.
They care about the planet because we live on it.
The human condition is to be selfish.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you think the best thing for you is to have green grass, or actually they hate grass. The Green Party people don't like grass. That's
grass
a big thing
bad.
Because it's a useless plant. It doesn't do anything.
Sure, yeah.
Right? You should have
It doesn't create oxygen. You should have weeds and gardens in your driveway.
Some of those guys have the ugliest front lawns, and their neighbors hate them. Right? Actually, the Green Party guy that I was telling you about, in his backyard, he's created a snake sanctuary.
Okay.
So he's basically tore up his backyard and put rocks in certain ways so that there'd be caves.
Right.
And I'm sure a lot of his neighbors don't love the fact that there's probably thousands and thousands of snakes in their backyard.
So an environmentalist's backyard looks like a feminist's armpits.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. I don't know. I mean, we've gone left. We've turned left here, but I feel like the idea that like we have any control over any of this stuff, we're just slowing it down. We're not stopping it. It's like here in Canada, I keep referencing Canada because this is where we live, but like our prime minister is super left, super woke, super environmental, super, he's Mr. Climate Change, all this stuff. But then he just came out with a bill a plan to build 4 million homes over the next however many years. I mean, you had a home building business. I think somebody did the math. It's like a new home every 60 seconds for the next 6 years, which is next to impossible.
Now listen, it could be done if we were China.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could be done with the right. Yeah, it could be done without red tape.
Yeah.
But so it's like I don't believe in climate change. I think we should tax our use of carbon fuels, but at the same time, I want to pave how many square feet of nature to build 4 million homes because we have a housing crisis. These things don't make any sense together.
They don't work.
So you're either, and don't get me wrong, like, I'm not pro-Trudeau, anti-Trudeau, I don't really care that much, but it's like, if you want to build 4 million homes, then stop talking about the environment.
Yeah, pick one.
Like, if you want to fix the environment, close the borders and stop building homes. Say, hey, this is it, we're cutting it off here, we got enough people, we got enough land, we're good. But we can't do that because we have to feed the economy monster. So it's like, we have all these contradictory things going on, and it's like, well, the only way to fix the environment is through taxes. We're going to charge you more money to basically just live the way we designed the world for
and
you.
They don't do anything with that money for the environment, really, at the end of the day.
I don't know what they do with
like,
money.
Carbon offset credits? Have you seen those?
I love those.
Like where airlines will pay we bought $500,000 worth of carbon offset credits. What does that even mean, right?
What does that mean? What are we doing? Are we planting trees with that money? Or are we?
So at one point, when I first got into the EV thing, I tried to start up a EV charging business.
Okay.
Right? And that's why the Green Party guy started chatting with me, because I'm in the green space, technically, right? And so I called up a carbon offset company, and I said, for every EV station we sell, what do we have to donate to you guys, and how does it work? Like, so we have, goodwill in the community and whatnot. He goes, well, it doesn't really work like that. The credits mean nothing.
Yeah.
It's just something you can say.
Yeah.
I thought, like, okay, maybe you get tax money back, or there's some value to it, or he's like, you get to say, like, I've done this.
Sure, yeah.
Right? He's like, and then we'll take, your money, and we got some students up in the Yukon, and they'll run around just spreading seeds like this. And we'll say that you planted 10,000 trees for X amount of dollars, or whatever it may be.
Right.
Right? So there's
That's the business to get in, it sounds like.
There's no real metrics.
For every $100 you give me, I'm going to flick a seed into the ground.
Right?
I love that. Just throw them in the ditch while I'm driving my
but
EV.
Then you go to places. So we have a property in Spain.
Okay.
Actually, we have a couple. My wife's there right now.
Okay.
And on the beach in the south of Spain, in the Marbella area. I don't know if you know the area.
No, I've only been to Mallorca and Barcelona.
Okay, so like the very south of Spain, basically. You can almost see Africa on a clear day across the strait.
Okay.
Right?
Amazing.
So it's nice there. And we're on like a private beach area, and you walk down to the beach, and it is just full of garbage.
Okay.
Like everywhere.
That washed up on the shore, or that people left behind on the beach?
Probably a combination of both.
Okay.
So when I go down there with the kids, like, just because we're bored sometimes, I'll just like, all right, let's get some gloves and just pick up garbage. And people are looking at us, and the Spanish people are like, what's wrong with these guys?
Yeah.
Right? Well, I don't know. I'm just trying to do something useful.
It's community service.
Kill time, right?
Yeah. You should put on orange jumpsuits.
I know there's no value to it, because as soon as you do that, there's like 70,000. But then you look at our beaches here, and I mean, our beaches suck, but they're clean. Like, Canada is a country that is so...
Except for the shitting. Did you hear about the shitting?
No, what's with the shitting?
There was, last year, there was a bunch of articles that came out because local residents in Wasaga Beach and Sable Beach were complaining that specifically Indian people were shitting on the
natives
beach.
Or brown Indians?
Like
East Indians?
Indians.
Okay.
Were shitting on the beach because they don't understand cleanliness. That's what they were saying. This was like, white boomers complaining on Facebook, basically saying, there's people shitting on the beach.
Now, to be fair, I've been to India several times, and there's lots of people shitting on the streets there too.
Okay. I have not been to India.
The public restrooms in India are the most terrifying sight. I had to take a shit so bad.
Yeah.
I was like, I'd rather shit my pants.
You had to squat over a hole, or how?
There was I was in a suit. Like, I was in a custom tailor suit place. It was like one of the nicest ones there in Mumbai, because my grandfather was a stockbroker there.
Okay.
So this guy made suits for my grandfather, super fancy place, and I was like, I really got to use the bathroom. Like, oh, no problem. They take me around back of the building into an alley, and there's a hole.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I'm going to hold it.
So that's where the term shithole comes from.
Yeah, it must be.
I love that.
It's like a squat hole, and then
the origin of shithole.
And then, like in malls, you can find the bathroom just by following the puddle. That's like Like, and it smells so bad, man. It's gross. And I wasn't even going to go to India when you said shitting on the beach. I was thinking of LA.
No, well, no.
Have you been to Venice Beach?
Yeah, oh yeah.
And like the homeless population there, those guys are just taking dumps and
Santa Monica has a unique pocket of the homeless that is unlike any other part of the world.
Yeah, but you know what? The homeless there are fun. For the most part.
Yeah, they're pretty fun. Yeah,
they're nice
because they know they have to be entertaining to get money. Whereas in San Francisco, they'll just bully you. But in Santa Monica, they're entertaining because they know it's the best way to get handouts from people.
Yeah, they don't bother you too much. That they're friendly-ish, you know.
Yeah, I love a friendly homeless man.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the best kind of homeless man.
If you're gonna be homeless, you know.
Yeah. In Toronto, they just slash you with a knife. They just slit your throat. That's not fun. You know, if you want my money, just tell me a joke. I'll give you some money.
Right?
Why you got to pull out a knife? Now we're not friends. It's always like just this weekend. If you watch the news, it's like man of no fixed address slashes another man's throat. You know, and it's just like, oh, that's Toronto.
Yeah, I heard you talking about that on another podcast. I didn't even realize that we had like a slashing epidemic going on here.
We have a knife problem. Yeah, we don't have a gun problem. We have a knife problem in Toronto. I don't know why. Maybe it's just me. That's all I see is like.
I know the UK has a big knife problem.
Yeah, well, they're not allowed to have guns in there, right? It's kind of like here. We don't have a lot of guns. So
you got to kill each other with something.
I'm going to cut you.
Yeah.
Don't make me cut you.
I think it's just everyone's so damn depressed, right?
Well, when you're homeless, you got to be depressed. That's kind of part of it, right? It might be pretty sad if I slept in a box.
I don't know. I think the first couple of weeks, then you start to get used to it like anything else. Depends on your personality.
My personality is not one for an alleyway or a box. I was homeless when I was 17 and for about 9 months, and so I know what that's like. I wouldn't wish it on anybody.
No.
But I also think that some people. You know what I like about homeless is that in Canada we don't call them that anymore.
Or what do we call them?
We call them unhoused. What the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, we just make up new words for everything, which mean the same fucking thing.
The other word that we use here a lot, which I find strange, is racialized.
Yeah.
What? Like, that makes it sound like we did something to, like, Zap, you've been racialized. Like, I just turned you black. Like, I just, like, you were white, and then you got racialized. It's like, why can't they just be, I don't know, people of other races, mixed race, non-whites, I don't know.
Just fucking people.
We just have to, but we call them racialized for some reason. It's like somehow they're at a disadvantage because of their color. And so we came up with this term, but it just sounds like, bam, you've been racialized. Like, I want to get racialized. I think I'd be a good Chinese person.
I don't know. I think white people are starting to get racialized a bit. That's one nice thing about stand-up. I can go up on stage and say any racist shit I want for the most part.
Yeah, me too.
No, but people get mad at you.
Yeah, oh yeah, they do.
When I do it, they're just like, he's brown. It's okay. Let him have it.
Yeah, he's been through some shit.
Yeah. He got stopped at the border once, I'm sure.
More than once, I'm sure.
Have you ever been stopped at the border?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Multiple times, actually.
For any reason, or just don't like your haircut? What is it like?
I have a criminal record.
Oh, okay. So every time they pull it up.
But it's not a crime of moral turpitude, so they'll allow me into the U.S. But when I was 19 years old, I got arrested for computer hacking. Okay. And but what I was doing was basically just the equivalent of Skype. I was making free long distance calls using computer networks. So it's not considered. It's not. They have to look at it and decide: is this guy going to hurt anybody? Is this guy going to cause us any problems? And it was so long ago, and it was such a small. It was like a tiny crime, and so it's there. And if they look for it, they'll find it, and then they'll give me the yellow folder and force me into secondary. But then we just have a conversation, and they let you go. But so I get stopped for that sometimes. And the last couple of times I've traveled, I travel on quote unquote business. But I'm going over there to perform, and I've learned. Last time I actually got stopped because I was going to the Burbank Comedy Festival. I was going to perform at Flappers, and I had a contract in hand that said I was getting paid $0. And if you're Canadian and you want to go to the U.S. to do comedy, unless you have a green card, you can't get paid. Right. You have to go on your own dime. 100% on your own dime.
I didn't even know you could do comedy for free without that. What's that? The whatever visa that they give you.
Yeah, you don't need to. So you could go over on a B1 visa. Which is basically they just give it to you at the border. You don't need the visa in advance. It's no different than when you go to the border and they say business or pleasure. If you say pleasure, I think it's like I can't remember what they call it. It's an N1 or something. Okay. And then if you say business, it's a B1. And the B1 is granted to you, stamped on your passport, 6 months entry at the border, no paperwork required. But usually when the customs agent says business or pleasure, if you say business, there's usually some follow-up questions. And so the last time I was going for a comedy, I said business, and he said, "Why? What's the purpose of the business trip?" And I said, "I'm on a book tour and I'm promoting my books." And he said, "How are you doing that? Are you performing?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Do you have a contract?" Which I had ready to go. I pulled it out. And the contract had a $0 value on it. And a couple of comedy festivals I did in the U.S., they wanted to pay me, and I had to adjust the deal. They were only going to pay me a few $100s anyway. Yeah. So I just adjusted the deal and said, "Can you make this $0?
Just pay for the hotel room.
Donate them." No.
Oh, you can't even get the hotel room for?
No, do not do that. You have to pay for everything yourself. If they pay for anything, it's considered payment.
Interesting.
Even if they feed you, it's considered payment.
Wow.
So you have to have the $0 contract. So I show the customs agent the $0 contract, and he looks at me and he says, $0. And I said, "Yeah." And he said something, I can't remember the exact words, but he said something to the effect of, "Seems like you know all the loopholes." And I said, "Well, yeah, I did my research." And he's like, "So you're not supposed to get paid to come over here?" And I said, "Yeah, that's why I have a $0 contract."
Yeah.
And he acted suspicious, like how do you know all this stuff? And I just said, It's Google. I know. I looked it up.
Yeah.
Like I looked it up, and I looked at him right in the eye, and I said, "Are you punishing me for following the rules?" And he was like, "No." And he stamped my passport. He let me in. But if you are receiving any kind of exchange of hotel room, meals, anything, you're being paid.
Wow.
So you have to be spending your own money, so if you can justify, like for me, I say I'm going to promote my books. That's an easy in for me because they're like, okay, yeah, he publishes books. We can see that. He's over there to promote them. That's going to increase his sales.
Do you remember the De La Hoya Mayweather fight?
Of course, yeah.
So I used to box.
Okay.
Not well. Just, box for fun. And my boxing coach went down there for the fight.
Do you have those? Are you one of those guys that has those gloves hanging from your mirror?
In the 90s.
Okay.
No, I didn't. I had Maple Leafs ones.
Okay.
Little hockey gloves.
Okay.
Yeah. But I had a convertible,
You still see those people with the gloves, and it's like, don't get road ragey against that guy. He probably could beat me up.
So, my boxing coach calls me up, and he's like, "Hey, man, I got free tickets to the De La Hoya fight. You want to come down?" I was like, "Fuck, why not, right?
Yeah.
It's cheap to fly to Vegas. Yeah, you can stay at my girlfriend's house. She lives down here."
Love it.
Great. So he's like, "Bring a friend, too. I got an extra ticket." So me and my buddy buy some tickets. Next day, we fly down to Vegas. At the airport, I put my boxing gloves, because he's like, "Yeah, bring your gloves. We'll go train while you're here at the gym, whatever." The guy because in Toronto, you have to go through U.S. Customs here, right? So I said to the guy, asked, "What are you going to the States for?" I said, "Oh, I'm going to meet my boxing coach. We're going to go watch are you going to be fighting?" "No." He's like, "Oh." He's like, and I had I just had a carry-on.
Yeah.
And he's like, and I think my boxing gloves were showing us. I don't remember. And he's like, "Well, why are you taking this stuff with you?" I was like, "Well, just to work out,
go to the
practice,
gym.
Go to the gym." And he was like, just kept going on and on. Like, "Why are you sure you're not fighting?" And I'm like, "Dude, look at me." I'm like, I was never like the guy who's been in great physical shape. I'll just go down there and get knocked out. I could get knocked out up here.
Right.
Right. But no, the only time and then I'll finish that story though. The funny part about that story is we get down there and we land. And the coach was named Headley. He picks us up from the airport. He's like, "What's up, man? How's it going?" We go back to his girlfriend. He's like, "Oh, what's the deal with the fight?" He's like, "Oh, bad news. The tickets fell through."
Okay.
So we end up watching the fight at his girlfriend's house on a TV that's like 16 inches.
Oh my god.
But whatever. You're down in Vegas. You make the best of it, right?
Sure, yeah.
Still walk the strip after the fight.
Yeah.
And everyone's going nuts and
right.
So still a good time. It was
Nice.
Just one of those funny times. But I got stopped at the border. Multiple times.
You look like the type that would get stopped at the border.
Yeah.
I would stop you at the border.
I would stop you. Why not? I was with two buddies of mine, white guys. We were going for a golf trip in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Because my one buddy's dad lived in Cantonville, Ohio.
Oh, yeah.
And he was meeting us at this golf resort he found.
Yeah.
So 3 of us went down, gets to the border, they stop us, and they pull me into the back, and they start asking me questions. And they kept asking the same questions over and over. Just, what's your name? Zahan Khursigara. Have you ever been denied access to the United States? No. And they must have asked me this 15 times. I was like, guys, do you not have a computer?
Yeah, can you not look this up?
Like, I don't know what the problem is.
Verify this?
Do you want me to go home? Like, did you ask my white friends anything? Because they look like they're just sitting there chilling. Like, we're going golfing. I don't know what you want from me,
They don't fit the profile. They're cool. They're good. They're good.
Right?
They look like Pennsylvania.
Yeah. And then, actually, I almost got my helicopter license. At one point, I was about 30, 40 hours in. I can't remember.
Okay.
And this was just like maybe a couple years after 9/11.
Oh, my God.
And I made the stupid mistake.
Even for a helicopter license after 9/11.
I made the mistake of asking the instructor. I said, "So how do you fly into the States? Like, what's the protocol?" Right? Because I was just curious.
Yeah.
Like, is there a border? Like, where do you do these things? And
if I wanted to crash into the Pentagon, what would that look like?
Right?
How would I pull that off?
And then he's like, "Oh, okay." And then all of a sudden, there was no more available times for me to take lessons. And then what do you call it? The RCMP shows up at my place. They called me. They were cool. They were like, "Hey, we just had to come interview you because we've had a report." I was like, "Yeah, sure, come by."
Man.
Yeah, come by. So they came by. I had a Canadian flag flying out. I just had one always at that time. They came inside. We were chatting about I'd gone to the Aerosmith concert the night before. We were chatting about that stuff. I'm like, I'm not even Muslim, right? I'm Zoroastrian. Like, yeah, I'm like, whatever. Like, I get it. Like, do you know why we're here? I'm like, yeah, because my flight instructor.
Because I'm brown and I took flying lessons after 9/11.
He's like, do you know what you said? Like, anything that would be considered suspicious. And I was like, no, I couldn't think of it at the time.
Really?
Because it was just like an innocent question. I wasn't. And they were like, did you ask about flying into America? I was like, oh yeah, I think I did. Yeah. Why did you ask that? I was like, well, where the fuck else am I gonna go?
Yeah.
Like, Buffalo's like the closest place. I'm in a helicopter. I can't really fly that far.
Where am I going to go?
I was like, I guess there's Montreal and Goose Bay. Like, we don't have that many destinations in Canada to fly to. So I was just wondering, like, if I get a pilot license in an airplane later, maybe I want to fly to Florida. I don't know. Just wondering what the protocol was. I thought that was a standard question. Like, yeah, fair enough. We just have to come ask. I asked him, am I on any lists? Am I not going to be allowed in the States? And I said, no.
Imagine how many people got visited because of that kind of stupid shit, where it was just like everybody was on high alert after 9/11. You're a brown guy. You're doing something that somebody decided was suspicious, and then boom, federal cops are at your door.
It was the fucking environmentalists.
Yeah, it goes back to them.
Yeah.
It goes back to them.
Always complaining about the smoke from the bombs, right?
Maybe, yeah.
If you think about it, didn't they say that eruption, that volcanic eruption a few years back? Do you remember that one? They grounded all the planes in Iceland or something? That was like worse than 200 years of humanity?
Yeah.
Just that one explosion?
Which goes back to my theory that we don't control anything. That we don't have any control over the environment, us burning stuff, us cutting down trees, all that shit. At any point, we could be wiped out, and nature will take the whole thing back. All our houses will be jungle. Everything is destroyable. Everything we've done is reversible, and everything that we do could be outdone by a single volcano, a single asteroid, a single whatever. What's the difference between an asteroid and a meteor? Is the meteor the one that hits us, and the asteroid is I don't know.
I honestly don't know.
Is one bigger than the other?
I think it's size. I think meteors are smaller.
Okay.
I think.
Okay. I identify as an asteroid then.
Do you remember? I don't know if you heard about the Sahara Desert was apparently a rainforest at one point.
Yeah.
Right.
So was the Grand Canyon was
right.
All that was
and that
all
was
water.
all before humans.
Yeah.
Right. Or I mean, we may have been primal.
Where we sit right now will
around.
one day be ocean again.
Yeah.
It's just the way the world works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nothing to do with us.
Yeah, we have no control.
No.
And it's just our ego that makes us think we're that powerful.
It is nice going to bed though at night thinking you're important.
Important enough to destroy everything. That's hard to sleep with that.
Or save everything. That's what the environmentalists.
Or save everything.
Right?
Yeah,
that's how they sleep at night because they feel like I'm the one who's going to save the world.
Yeah, it's the smugness.
Right. That's what keeps society going. Everyone's smugness. I can't believe he said that. I would never.
Can you believe?
Have you written any books about environmentalists yet?
No, I haven't. I should. Yeah. I got one coming out right now about called Baby in a Hot Car, which is kind of environmental.
Yeah.
It's about a mom that leaves her kid in the car at the casino, which is a pretty common thing.
Do Johnny plants an apple seed? Maybe that's one you could do.
Yeah, I think I did a video. I did a video about Greta Thunberg, and man, did I get angry people, man. You make fun of that girl, and you get angry, angry
I
people.
like her.
Do you really?
I like her. You know what I like about her?
What?
See, I don't know.
Well, she does have big tits, so I like that.
I haven't even seen her in years. I don't know what she looks like.
She's a grown woman now, so we can talk about her tits.
Oh, fair enough, yeah. What I like about her is she walks the walk. Whatever she believes. You know, she doesn't fly. She takes a freaking sailboat across the ocean. Because I don't know if global warming is man-made. I haven't done the studies. That's what I always tell people. I go, look,
right.
I haven't personally done the studies. I just have my opinions. I admit they could be wrong. You know, I could be wrong about the vaccine. I could be wrong about this. I could be wrong about that. Whatever I believe, because I've not done any of these studies.
Okay.
Right? But when people have an opinion and they walk that walk like you do with your books.
Right.
You have your opinion, you go, you know what? I don't give a shit if I offend you.
Right.
Right? I can respect that.
But my thing is, I don't really have any strong... Like, everything I say is just for fun.
I lost all respect for you.
Like, I have no actual opinions.
No, but doing it just for fun and not backing down when people freak out on you.
Oh, yeah.
That's still walking the walk.
Right, yeah.
Right? There's a lot of guys like Jimmy Carr, when someone bitches at him for something he says, well, it's a joke. Too bad for you.
Suck it up, yeah.
But there's a lot of other comics out there who will freak out. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't mean it
I'm
like
on an
that.
apology tour right now.
Exactly, right? So, you know, I respect people who walk the walk. Whatever they say and do, you know, own it.
Yeah.
I always say lean in.
Yeah, me too.
Right?
Yeah.
My biggest thing right now with society is, on one hand, we're not allowed to fat shame people, for example. But on the other hand, all we do is talk about health and how you have to be healthy or you're going to die and it's bad for everybody.
Right.
And focus on it, but you're not allowed to tell someone they're not healthy.
Right.
Right? So like, we just live in this paradoxical society where you can't say anything to anybody.
But you know what? It's funny because my comment section is filled with people attacking my appearance.
Really?
You're fat, you're old, your hairline is receding, you're balding, cut your hair, you know.
And those are all the PC people.
Yeah, because they're looking, they're like, I hate you and I can't find anything else, so I'm going to pick on your appearance. And I find it funny because women, when you see like women on TV and stuff, they're like, someone tweeted this thing about me and they said they don't like my dress or whatever. And only women get their appearance attacked. No. You should see my comment section. Like I did a video, you know Ruth Miller, the comedian?
No.
So I did a video with her last week where we were making fun of kindness influencers. You know, these guys that go out and overtip waitresses and shit.
Yeah.
So
I saw that video.
Yeah. So I did that video.
That big roll of
cash.
cash.
I was like, I heard you're a single mom. And I said, she was a waitress. And the whole thing was fake. I heard you're a single mom. I'm counting out fake $100 bills.
She's talking about Disneyland.
Yeah, I heard you want to take your kids to Disney World, and what my followers and I like to do is go out. The shtick that these kindness influencers do, where they exploit people who are in hard times for their views. I made one of those videos, but at the end they said the punchline was, today I'd like to give you more than the normal tip. I'm going to give you 10%.
Yeah,
and then she's like gets annoyed and walks away, and. So many people, the hashtags for that video found the boomers that watch those videos and love to watch people gift money to poor people. And so when they saw that at the end that I gave her 10%, they lost their fucking minds. My comment section on that video is at 2.2 million views on Instagram. It's only been hasn't even been a week. There are 1,400 comments, and the comments are, take some of that money and get a haircut, you asshole, and you're a jerk, and if I saw you in the parking lot, I'd beat your ass. And then one guy said he's coming to my next show on Friday, and he's going to bludgeon me in the face with a shovel. And he said he's going to kill me. I get death threats weekly, so that's not unusual for me, but I find it amazing how many people will show up in my comment section angry, and I don't know my hairline's receding. Come on, I can see it. I'm looking in the mirror. I know. I know what I looked like 10 years ago. I have no control over it. But for some reason, people they need to find a way to attack your appearance. We're not allowed to fat shame. But if you look at anybody's YouTube comments, Instagram comments, not so much TikTok, because TikTok,
it's more kids.
I can't even call you soft. I can't even call you a snowflake on TikTok. I can't call you dumb. I can't use the word dumb in the comments without it getting flagged for harassment and abuse.
Wow.
So TikTok
and that's the one they're shutting down.
Yeah. So TikTok has an AI that prevents negative comments, but the other platforms don't. They're not as stringent. So people can say the meanest things that they can, including "I'm going to bludgeon you with a shovel," and get away with it.
Because they don't understand that you're being ironic.
They think I actually fucked over that waitress. They think she's real. And then the funny thing is that if I go in and respond to that person, I say, well, we know this was a sketch, and I actually tagged the other comedian, Ruth, in the video, and the first comment that's pinned is me saying, oh my God, you guys I can't believe how these comments are unhinged. This was a sketch. The waitress is actually a comedian. Here's her Instagram. People who fell for it, this is the funniest part, people fell for it, believed that I did this, and then when they found out that it was fake, they said, well, you guys are terrible actors. Well, you fucking fell for it. You just got mad. I just got an emotion out of you, which is the best acting possible, and now you're mad.
I actually watched... Bad actor. See, I have ADD, so I only watched half of the sketch.
See, that's the other thing. A lot of people are like, how dare you flex that money with her and all this kind of stuff.
They're mad about that?
Because
I was just like, oh, what a nice guy. That's weird. I didn't expect him to do that. I just pressed like and move on with my day.
That's funny. I love that. A lot of people do that.
Right?
A lot of people do that.
I was like, whatever. And then you posted something about wanting to do more sketches with people. I'm like, what sketches is he doing? Was that one a sketch?
Yeah.
And then he's like, eh.
Yeah.
Because I just don't care. You know what's weird? The older I get, the less I care.
Yeah, you got to lose less bucks.
Yeah.
That's
but
the happiest place you can be.
Yeah, but it seems like a lot of people, the older they get, I think they just have nothing in life. And all they do is, they have to be on that, the PC police, and gives them that value, like they're saving the world, like we said, right? So that's how they sleep at night, with that smugness.
Retired boomers love to get passionate about stuff because they got nothing going on, and so they'll tell you things they saw on the internet that are totally fake, that were designed to trigger them and worked, and it's amazing. Like it's funny because a lot of people ask, like, oh, what do you think about cancel culture? What do you think about these triggered people? I love the triggered people because in my comment section, if you like my stuff, you're going to say, that was funny. I'm going to respond with a thank you. And that's the end of our exchange. Engagement is the name of the game with these algorithms. And if you come in and you're like, I'm going to bludgeon you with a shovel, or, I can't believe what an asshole you are, and I come back and I troll you back, we're going to have a 30, 40, 50, 60 comment exchange. And that's going to boost my numbers way more than the guy who says, that was funny.
Right.
So if I know that basically every comment is a point, I'm playing a game here with the algorithm. The negative people are the best people to engage.
But you know what? That's even before social media. That's what worked. Look at Don Cherry, right?
Well, he got canceled. He got fired.
Yeah, but he still had a good 30, 40-year run, right?
He did. Yeah, he got fired for saying "you people."
You people.
I have a book called "You People."
It's not even racialized.
They're not even racialized.
Right? But yeah, so Don Cherry, Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary.
Yeah.
He openly says all the time, he goes, I play the bad guy.
Yeah.
Because I know that every show needs a bad guy.
Yeah.
People love to hate the bad guy.
Of course. Yeah.
Right? The reason these people are watching your stuff is because they love to hate you.
Yeah.
They don't realize it, but you're one of their favorite comedians. That's why they watch every single one of your videos. If you were boring and you didn't trigger them, they wouldn't watch it.
But I look though, and the triggered never follow you.
Okay.
But they do what they don't realize is when they comment negatively, the algorithm feeds them more of the same content, right? Because they think the algorithm thinks you want it, whether you follow or not. But the people who leave negative comments almost never follow you.
Right.
So the people who like you follow you. The people who don't like you see your stuff, but they don't follow. So
you actually get more people who don't like you seeing your stuff because they put more comments than the people who just like.
If I look at my insights, most of my videos are seen by 90% non-followers. So the videos that blow up are seen by people who don't follow. The other people who get triggered that I find really interesting are the people I get called. So I get death threats every week, and every day I get called a pedophile because there's a certain percentage of people who watch my stuff think that I'm actually targeting the children.
Right.
And so, I love to commit to the bit. So when somebody says, "Why are you targeting children?" my favorite response is, "Because children are the future." Right? I just lean into that. Like let them get more angry and let them be like, "How? Why?" And like the funny thing is that I sell a lot of books. If I actually targeted children, I'd sell no books.
Right.
Children are broke. They don't have Amazon Prime. They don't have credit cards, and their parents aren't going to buy my books for them. So if that was my goal, I'd be dumb and broke.
Right.
Ultimately, the people who call me pedophile are just addicted to outrage. They're literally sucking on the tit of outrage, and then they find me, and they're like, "Oh my God, it's a new tit," and they suck on that tit for a while. But I feed them more milk. I give them extra milk to make them happy because it's what they want.
Yeah.
They want to be triggered, like you said. They're
exactly
there for the trigger.
Yeah.
And I love that for them.
So I didn't realize that what you said though about the algorithm, how these, because I always wonder. I see sometimes someone gets a video that has 10 million views, but their followers barely went up.
Yep.
Right.
That's video with Ruth, 2.2 million views as of today. And I looked at the insights this morning, and I've picked up 90 followers from that.
From 2 million views.
But then I have other videos that are funnier than this one. I thought this video was funny. A lot of people are like, "You can't even joke about being mean to a server." Apparently, to some people, even making a joke about under tipping a waitress is bad.
I rant about that sometimes online.
Yeah.
About tipping, because tipping is something that drives me crazy.
Okay.
The whole tipping culture.
Okay. You don't like tipping?
I have no problem with tipping if someone did a good job.
Okay.
I don't see that, and something else, I don't see the value of, if I go out for a meal with you, let's say we went out to just a cheap, like, little restaurant at the corner, a diner.
Yeah.
Okay? And we each get a $15 meal. Okay? And our tip is 15%. That should be the standard, because that's what it was for years now. It's apparently starting at 18.
Yeah.
But whatever. Let's not get into that section yet. But we sit down, we eat that meal, and we tip, so whatever.
$2 or whatever.
$2 or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
The waitress came, she brought us food, she brought us a drink.
Yeah.
If we go to a fancy restaurant and our meals are $75 each,
right.
Now we're tipping 18% or 15% or whatever it is still. But now instead of $2, it's a $10 each tip or whatever it is, right?
You bought a $1,000 bottle of wine instead of a $20 bottle of wine.
Right, but the server did the exact same amount of work.
Right.
So I don't see the value that they brought. Like, so I'm a value person. If you go out and, like, if the server came and they were like, have you ever been to Canoe in Toronto?
Yeah.
They come, they put the napkin on your lap.
Yeah.
They go
fancy.
out of the, they do everything for you. So, okay, maybe it's worth a little bit more.
It's a fine dining establishment.
They've done more work.
Yeah.
Right? But most places, and sometimes the server's rude. They don't come back to your table. You're sitting there for like half an hour waiting to order.
Right. Can I get that water I asked for?
Right.
Earlier?
But you're still expected to tip.
Right.
And you still expect to tip the same amount. I have a $5 tip policy. I just tip $5 no matter how much it costs.
Wow.
I don't give a shit. I'm like, you did the same amount of work to serve me. Here's your $5.
We're canceling lunch. I'm not going out for lunch with you. I worked as a server.
I did too.
Which is funny because a lot of people are giving me a hard time right now about the way I fake treated a server in a sketch video. I find it funny that people are even mad about a sketch video. Like, it's clearly a sketch. Even after you figure it out it was a sketch, you're like, it's still not funny. You still can't joke about it. It's like, okay, but don't, like, it's one thing to say it's not funny. It's another thing to say you can't joke about under tipping somebody. Like, for some reason, that's become so taboo.
You tip 10%, right?
I tipped 10% in the video, and people lost their minds. Lost their fucking minds. And I'm just like, I'm amazed now. Everything triggers everybody now. Yeah. It's just like, you pick anything, do anything dark, any kind of dark humor, you're going to trigger people.
Yeah.
Somebody dies, you're going to trigger people. Somebody gets hurt. I got this book coming out, Baby in a Hot Car, definitely going to trigger people. And that's the whole, like, actually, one of my biggest books, not biggest like in terms of sales, but in terms of the efforts that I've put in, I have 15 dead baby books, just called Dead Babies, a series of short life stories. Each baby dies on each page. And then I made a dead baby's coloring book. Nobody gets bothered by those. So, like, I make fun of babies dying, and people are like, oh, yeah, okay, dead baby jokes, got it. But then I make fun of under-tipping a waitress, and the whole internet blows up over it. We pick and choose our battles, and we decide what's just and what isn't so quickly. But back to your thing about tipping, like I'm the opposite of you. I paid a waiter $20 just to sit at an empty table in that restaurant for 3 minutes and film that thing with Ruthie.
Yeah.
Like, and he was so happy. He brought us fortune cookies, and you know we didn't eat anything. It was just like you gave him some money, sat at the say, hey, can we go sit off the corner here for 2 minutes to film a video? Here's $20. And, oh yeah, of course, you know.
Sure. But listen, at the same time, I've been to places where I tipped 100%.
Okay.
I've done that because the service was so good.
Right, because
the food was amazing.
Because the meal was $5. So I tipped $5. Is your $5 tipping policy?
Well, that actually does work sometimes too, right? Because I always tip $5. Like, I like to keep it equal.
You got a Happy Meal and you tip $5,
right? No, but I've gone to a place where I've tipped like 100%, and I gave the waiter 50% of it, and I said, "Can I go back to the kitchen?" I gave the chef 50% because they barely get any tip out,
right?
Because the food was so good. I was like, "This was a meal."
Yeah.
Everything here was just an experience.
The food was so good, the server doesn't deserve the whole tip.
Right, but that was part of it.
It goes to the chef.
Right, the food was good, the service was good, everything was amazing. I want a tip.
Yeah,
I think that's what isn't gratuity supposed to be like? Oh, thank you so much for the excellent service, not just expected. Like, yeah, you work here, so I have to give you extra money.
It is. There is an argument that we underpay these people and we expect the customers to subsidize our costs because we want to keep the prices low. But then it still happens in a fine dining establishment. It still happens in an expensive restaurant. It still happens when you are paying for an overpriced experience. That person is still being paid minimum wage, and that they're supposed to make it up in tips. I think it's what's happened in our culture, and we've all agreed, somehow silently agreed that this is how things are.
What about fast food tipping? That's the new thing, right?
Yeah, but that's the other thing. Those people get nothing. Nobody tips at McDonald's.
No, but now, like, if you go to the mall,
in
the food court, every single machine will have the tip at tipping. And they're saying that's actually because of the credit card companies. Because they make a percentage, their percentage on everything. So they've started actually pushing that. People get mad at the restaurants, but it's the credit card companies pushing to get higher tips. That's why they
do that thing where they're like, it's just going to ask you a couple of questions, and then they look away.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my favorite.
And then you feel
it's just going to ask you a couple questions before.
Yeah, they guilt you into it, right? Everyone's guilt. And I went to Starbucks with a comic a few weeks ago to chat about some sketches or something. And she's like, "Oh, let me buy the coffee." So, "Oh, sure, thanks." And she's like, "I didn't tip. I hope you're not upset because it was a $7 coffee." I was like, "I'm not tipping on a $7 coffee. It's ridiculous. I really don't care." But she felt the obligation to even tell me about her tipping situation. And I was like,
she felt obligated to tell you she didn't tip.
Yeah, because she didn't want me to like look over and go, "Oh my God, she didn't tip," because it's so taboo not to tip, right?
Well, Starbucks. Like, I bought this on my way here. This was a $7 coffee. I tipped $1. They don't actually know who tips and who doesn't. It's just tallied at the end of the day and split up amongst whoever worked there. So if you tip at Starbucks or you don't tip at Starbucks, they don't even know.
Right.
Unless they see you put it in. If it's a cash tip, they'll see you do it. But if you do it in the app, they have no idea you tipped.
And what about, do they have to pay tax on the tips now?
Well, technically
income tax?
Technically.
Because back in the day when it was cash, how would anyone know, right?
They're supposed to declare it. A lot of places will let them take the cash out as their tips, and they'll just settle the credit card money. It used to be that way. I don't know what it's like anymore, but yeah, I mean, the more it's electronic, the more you're going to have to pay the tax on it. It's just going to get added to your paycheck, and then...
And you can invest it and get taxed on capital gains.
There you go.
I'll circle all the way back to your first idea.
Full circle, back to and then you pay carbon tax.
Yeah. Which is saving us, right? What does Trudeau say? Everyone gets that carbon tax money back, and everyone's supposed to get like $400 or something, some nonsense.
You're supposed to get more back than you pay, but then the businesses are supposed to pay more, and the farmers end up paying more, which means your food prices go up. So we're still fucking you in another way. It's still it's a backwards fuck. It's like, but then Trudeau will blame the grocery store executives for the food prices. But it's actually the farmers paying extra carbon tax and all the supply chain prices going up. the most grocery stores have a fixed profit point. So they're just making a percentage of whatever the costs are.
Yeah.
Of course, when costs go up, profits go up. That's how the oil companies operate. That's how everybody operates.
And when we add more tax to our gas every 6 months for some reason, all those prices all go up as well.
All the prices go up, yeah. So they say whatever you're paying at the pump, we don't have this problem because we both drive EVs, but you still pay carbon tax on your electricity.
Yep.
So you're still paying it in another place. It's all, I don't know, the whole thing's it's all designed to capitalize on your guilt of believing that we have the power to destroy the planet,
while keeping the poor poor.
Yeah, we love to keep the poor poorer.
Like when you mentioned that earlier, it came to my mind. I was out on a hike in the wintertime. I'm in a cycling group, and they all went for a hike, and I went for one. And I was like, I'm not old enough for these walks.
Yeah.
I told them I'm not going on any more seniors walks, and it offended everybody.
How old are you?
I'm 40.
Okay.
Yeah. So one of the guys who was with us, he works for CRA, and I asked him, I said, why do you guys always go after the poor guys? Like, you guys, the guy who owes like $3,000 on his taxes, you go after him, but you don't go after the guy who owes like $5 million. I was like, yeah, because the guy who owes $3,000 will pay.
Yeah.
He goes, he's scared.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a good lawyer. He can't afford a lawyer.
Yeah.
Even if he goes bankrupt, he'll go out. He won't feed his kids, but he'll pay his taxes once we call him and start harassing him.
Yep. The millionaire. It's funny you say this because I'm actually going through a CRA HST audit right now, and basically they owed me thousands of dollars in HST rebates because I make all my money outside of Canada.
Right.
My publisher is in the U.S., which means all my money comes in without HST, but I spend all my money here. So if I buy a computer, for people who don't know, the way our HST tax works is 13% of everything. But if you own a business, everything you spend for your business, that 13% is rebated to you, and you're supposed to be charging 13% on everything you sell in Canada. But if you're like me and all your money comes from outside the country, you're not collecting any HST from anybody.
Right.
And so I have, I think 90+% of my revenue is non-HST taxable. And they come after me every year because they have to give me a rebate, and they hate giving rebates. But that's the system they designed.
Correct.
So every year they'll reassess me, and this year without fail, they basically come back and they say, we're denying 100% of your expenses, 100% of all your costs. You ran your business at zero cost as far as we're concerned, and we're adding 15% to all your U.S. revenue. And this happens every year, and I have to fight it every year. And this year I have a particularly shitty CRA agent. He's just garbage. He's human garbage. And he is
he's probably the guy commenting he's going to bludgeon you.
Probably. He, for some reason, he is just not relenting. And I said to my accountant, the next time you talk to him, ask him how he justifies denying your bill. When you're on the phone with him, clearly working for my corporation, how is it possible that he can deny your expenses? And so, we're just going through this right now. I actually have a call with my member of parliament today about this, because it's just because we have 60,000 CRA agents, and we have 55,000 military people. So we have more people fighting us than we have fighting for our freedom. And I find that crazy, but the craziest part to me is every year they do this. They come after me every year with the same questions. They don't look at last year's file. They refuse to look at last year's file. All the answers are in last year's file. And for some reason, and the funny thing is, they say, well, you should be charging HST on all this revenue. And I'm like, well, it comes from the U.S. So your rules say we don't charge Americans, because if we did charge Americans HST, they'd never do business with us.
Right.
So, of course, they're not paying it. And the funny part is, there's no HST on books. So even if I was selling all my books here in Canada, I would not be collecting HST, because they don't charge tax. They charge GST, but not HST on books. So it's only a 5% tax on books as opposed to a 13% tax. It's the same with some groceries, right? When you go to the grocery store, you buy meats and vegetables and fruits. Those are not taxed for HST because they're essentials. And it's the same with books. Books are considered learning tools, even though my books aren't really learning tools. They're designed as such that they don't overtax books, because they don't want to make it harder for people to gain knowledge. So his whole argument that I should be charging the tax in the first place is bullshit. he's just blanket denying expenses. But I'm in a category where I don't earn enough to be ignored, and I don't earn too little. So they're like, oh, if we go after this guy,
they want the middle class.
We can probably get some.
People.
Yeah, we probably get a few grand out of him.
Yeah.
But I'm a fighter. I will not give the bully my lunch money because he'll come back for it next week.
Right.
So I say no. My accountant, I have a lawyer. I'm fighting them. I'm going to tax court with them, but the fact that they make you do that, they have to waste their time and money, their resources. I have to waste the court's time and money, plus my own money to do all this, to end up at the end exactly where I was when I filed, because my books are straight. So the idea that they just do this, it's no different than you own a business. It's no different than you writing invoices to everybody in this building for something you didn't do and then sending them straight to collections. That's exactly what Canada Revenue Agency does. Yeah. They just go after people in the middle ground that they know they can scare, that they know that they can, we're going to freeze your bank account if you don't pay this money, and then you'll pay the money.
Yeah.
You know what? Come at me, bro. I have done this before. I beat CRA in court before because my books are straight. But this is how they operate. This is what they do. They just go, like you said, they go after the people who are in the middle because they're the easiest targets.
Yeah.
Anybody who can afford a lawyer or can afford to fight in tax court, they can't be bothered with.
No. And that's what I was saying earlier. In my ideal scenario, we eliminate income tax and we just have HST. But it's actually paid. So it's paid immediately.
Right.
So it's transaction tax. I buy that coffee from you, I tap my card, the 15 cents on the dollar or 13 cents on the dollar
goes straight to the government.
They don't need to hire 60,000 people to look at it. They got the money. They save a ton. They're not harassing everybody.
Can you run for prime minister? I like the idea of that. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Right, and then and then there's no income tax. Now people are investing in the country.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. Look at the Bahamas. The only reason people invest in the Bahamas because there's not much going on in the Bahamas.
No.
There's no income tax.
Yeah. Same with the Cayman Islands, Belize.
You put your money there because you're like, okay. So why not put money into Canada? Keep your money. Every rich person leaves the country.
Yeah.
Because they can't afford to stay here. It's just so literally taxing.
Well, they can afford to leave. That's the big part, right? It's not only can they not afford to stay here, they can afford to leave. And they can do the math and figure out if they leave, I'll have this much more money.
Right.
Whereas the average person can't afford to leave.
How do places like Dubai stay in existence? I know they have the monarchy that's got tons of money, but they still there's ways to do it without just crippling your constituency with taxes.
Well, a lot of those countries, like the Cayman Islands, I just spent my 50th birthday there, and I've been there a number of times. It's one of my favorite places to visit. They are tax-free, but they make all their money off tourism. Yeah. So they charge the hotels taxes, and they charge, I think it's there's a departure tax that you pay when you go to the country, and they have been able to manage all their finances off that amount of money. And everything else, there's no income tax, there's no corporate tax. You don't even need to file your corporate taxes there.
It's doable. That's the thing, right? If you do it right.
Yeah.
And here we just waste money with bureaucracy, going in circles, spend on this, spend on that.
Because they want to say they created jobs.
Right.
We're job creators.
They are creating jobs, useless jobs.
They're making work is what they're doing. Yeah. They're not creating jobs. Just make work programs.
It's like in construction. When the economy's bad, all of a sudden all these government jobs pop up and all the construction companies go and build stuff for the province and for the country and this and that because they got to keep people employed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right? But really, you don't need to tax the shit out of everybody.
How did this turn into a political podcast? I feel like all we're talking about here is politics. We're two comics. And all we're talking about here is taxes and politics.
That was actually the idea of the podcast.
Okay.
That's why.
Because we want to save the world.
Because, I'm tired of all the comedic podcasts just being about getting high and drunk and banging and whatever, which is fine, but they just all do that.
Right,
so I want to ask, because comics have very interesting points of view. Just very
that
rarely
makes sense.
hear them.
That makes sense, okay. I thought about it for a second. I'm like, if I was American and I was listening to this, I'd be bored.
Well, it works for America too. If they get rid of their income tax.
Yeah, if they got rid of right? Just replace CRA with IRS, and it's all good.
It's the same thing, right? Ends up being the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. The world doesn't need tax. The money has to go to the government. Things need to get fixed, et cetera, et cetera.
I like your idea though of like taking it from the transaction like the bank takes it for their merchant fees. It's exactly the same.
The thing that pisses people off when I say that is they don't like the idea of eliminating cash. And I'm like, listen, we barely use cash. The only time you use cash really is to give your kids $10 here and there.
Or to buy drugs.
Buy drugs, do something illegal, right?
My kids don't even want cash.
No.
My kids are like, don't, like, dude, it's the funniest thing. Like, I like to have cash. My dad taught me have walk around money. I always have money. I always have cash. Be prepared, you know. Yeah. Be prepared for whatever you might need cash for. And so I always have cash on me. And when my kids go to the mall, I always flip them $20 each.
Yeah.
They already have money. They have bank accounts. They have tap. They have all that shit. But whenever they go to the mall, I give them $20 each because I'm always just like, just have something to buy. Just go to the food court, whatever.
Snack, whatever, yeah.
They don't even want the money because they don't want to deal with the change. They're just like, can you send it to me? Can you e-transfer me to $20? I'm like, do I really want to pay $1.50 to send you $20? Just take the goddamn bill.
Right?
But they don't want, like, so this generation coming up, they don't even want the cash.
And that's what I'm saying. We're moving into I barely use cash.
Yeah.
Right? I've been to places that don't accept cash.
Yeah, most places don't accept cash.
Right? So what's the difference? Get rid of cash. I wrote a little thing, a political manifesto, if you will.
Oh, okay.
Get rid of cash. Get rid of income tax. Right? Legalize all drugs. Right?
All drugs.
All drugs. Fuck it.
Fentanyl.
If you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it.
Right.
Put the money into education. Right? Don't prescribe it to people. Don't make it.
Yeah, don't create safe injection sites.
Right? But you know what? The money, like, you know what happened in Portugal, right? They had the highest overdose rate in the world. They decriminalized. They didn't legalize.
Yeah.
Decriminalized everything. They now have the lowest overdose rate.
But look at BC. They have the worst rate of fentanyl addiction anywhere, and they've decriminalized it all there. Like, I went up to BC to do shows, and I could not believe the number of tent cities on the street, and it's all drug addicts.
But that's because the money's not going to the right spots.
Right.
If the government's selling you things, like with weed.
Right.
Like, very few people that I know still buy weed from a dealer.
Yeah.
They'll generally just go to because there's a pot shop in every bloody corner now.
Yeah, and,
right?
and you can buy pre-rolls now, and it's way easier than...
Right, so people would just get to the point, oh, I want to do cocaine tonight when I go party. At least it'll be clean.
Right, yeah.
Right? It's not going to be cut with Windex or fentanyl or whatever you don't want in there, right?
Don't get me wrong, I'm a believer in legalizing all drugs, because I also think that if you want to use something, you're right, you should be able to use the cleanest possible thing, but also it's your, like, why do we have to protect you from yourself?
Right.
If you want to hurt yourself, you're going to hurt yourself one way or another. So why not at least give you the best quality of hurting yourself possible?
Well, plus the government makes money on it. They make a fortune on it.
Sure, yeah.
Right? Which covers a lot of those tax dollars that we're losing from income tax.
Right.
Right?
We got to pay for the health care of all the people who are addicted to the drugs one way or the other. We might as well make it off the drugs.
Yeah, if you're gonna go kill yourself, at least you're paying into the system.
We taxed cigarettes to pay for the medical system.
Yeah, for lung cancer issues.
Yeah.
Right? It's the same thing.
It makes sense. We sold you. We already sell you the worst possible drugs, which are cigarettes and alcohol.
Yeah.
So why not cocaine? Why not Molly? I'm with you.
Right? And a lot of people don't like that, especially like the Catholics, people that have spoken to the Christians and religious people and so forth, and I get it. And I'm not promoting doing drugs. I'm not saying go out and get high.
I'm promoting doing drugs.
But, if you want to do drugs, I just say, listen, if you want to, you're going to.
I love drugs.
Right?
I think drugs are great.
If you're raised in a household that, like, nobody does drugs, nobody does this, nobody does that, that's cool. I don't care. Do what you want.
Yeah.
If you're raised in a household where you want to, your parents do drugs and you want to do drugs with them, like I have friends who smoke with their parents and have done Molly with their parents and stuff. Cool. That's their family. They do what they want. I really don't care.
Right.
Right? Live your life how you want. Like you said, if you want to kill yourself, if you want to do this, if this makes you happy, as long as we are able to educate people, this is the potential outcomes. Here's the information.
Yeah.
We have a healthcare system which is paid for by you because you're investing in it by buying stuff legally.
Yeah.
And we're taxing it.
Yeah.
Right? What's the problem?
Sure.
Right?
It's like a carbon offset.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's a cocaine offset.
Cocaine offset. Right? There's so many things we could do in this country. Like, just look at us being part of the British. We're still a colony technically, right? Or whatever we are. Like we give Britain something like I think $500 million a year.
We do?
Yeah.
Still?
Yeah.
I didn't think we still gave him anything.
Oh yeah, just the king, his salary from Canada is $100 million, I believe, or something, or $50 million. I think maybe it's the royal family's $100 million.
Really?
Yeah, it's crazy.
You sure about that?
Yeah, it's like 5 cents per Canadian.
I don't know really?
Yeah.
I don't know that we still do that.
And technically, all the land that the government owns used to be
crown land. Right? Yeah.
So they own it all.
Right.
That's why a lot of companies have left the Commonwealth. That's why a lot of countries have left the Commonwealth.
I know that if you want to sell, if you want to open a distillery, you have to get permission from the Queen or the King now. You
really?
Still have, if you want to. I was going to invest years ago. I was looking at investing in a company that was opening a whiskey distillery.
Okay.
And they were going to make whiskey, gin, and vodka. Anyway, they had already secured. He brought in a letter from the Queen's people or whatever, and he was like, "I already have permission from." I'm like, "What?" And they explained to me. He said, "Yeah, if you want to open a distillery, you need permission from the Queen of England." I'm like, that is crazy. You want to start a distillery in Canada, you need permission from the king. Now it's the king.
Just money we waste.
Yeah.
Stupid shit. Like,
yeah.
I don't have a problem with the monarchy. I don't really care about them again. Like,
right.
They're just a soap opera.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? But, and in England, it makes sense. They bring in a fortune, not just a little bit of money, like $100 million, $200 million in the grand scheme of things in a country is nothing nowadays. Right? But I think they bring in billions of dollars in tourism for people who want to go see that stuff.
They want to go to the palace. They want to go see the Church of England. They want to go see the
great. That's great.
Tower.
It doesn't help us. No one's coming to Canada going, "Oh wow, what the Queen went to this once in 1998. That was so cool."
All we have is Queen's Park.
Right? It's meaningless.
Right.
The QEW, the Queen Elizabeth Way, right?
QEW. We
get them on our money.
The Queen's Highway.
Which I'm trying to eliminate anyways, the cash. So it really doesn't have any value to me.
Take them off the money.
Right? But there's just all these stupid things. When you start going through all the bureaucracy and all the money that we waste, and the fact that technically they could just say no to any law we want or stop a distillery from opening, they won't do it. Very unlikely.
Right.
But the fact that they even could.
Yeah, the fact that you even have to go through the motions of dealing with it is
just
bullshit.
one more piece of paper you have to get, right?
Absolutely.
Which I'm sure costs, even if it's $5,000, it's just money wasted.
Yeah. Somebody's got to prepare that letter for you.
Right?
Yeah, you're right.
It's just nuts. It's all this stuff, and then that just ruins the environment even more. More paper you got to get.
Yeah,
and I got environmentalists getting all up in arms, and
I got to put
it back around.
$1.50 stamp on it, and then it's got to be flown across the pond, and
I actually just found out that I have a British citizenship.
You do?
Yeah. So my dad's from Pakistan.
Okay.
He moved to England before he came here.
Where were you born?
I was born in Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah. And so he was naturalized in England.
Yeah.
So I've been putting off getting my British passport because I just don't really need it. But recently he's 80 this year. So I said, you know what, let me just get the papers just in case. You never know.
Sure, do it, yeah.
So I went online and it says on the British Embassy's website, if you were born between 83 and 2006, I'm 83. One of your parents is a British citizen, naturalized or born. It's my dad. And your parents were married when you were born. The British hate bastards, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Which I check all. You are automatically a British citizen. You can apply immediately for your passport.
Great.
I was like, cool.
Yeah. Sign me up for that.
Right? If they were still part of the EU, that would be a little better. But
it'll still make it easier for you to get over there and do things and whatever.
Yeah. If I want to go perform in England, so I applied for my passport and everything, right? Why not?
Yeah, I would totally do that.
Just a good to have.
Yeah. I'd love to have a British passport.
Right? And I'm not even a white guy.
Yeah. That's amazing. Good for you. Well done. Way to assimilate. Even though you were born here.
Go there and take their jobs.
That's right. Go over there and take it's a brown guy taking our job.
Yeah. What do they do? All they do in England now is make curry anyway. So, right?
It's not very good. It's not very good. It's not good there. The curry's garbage.
Is it?
Yeah.
I haven't really.
It's pub curry. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not the good stuff.
No, I don't know. I haven't been in England in a while.
No.
No, my wife's Cuban.
Okay.
I met her in Cuba. So.
You met her in Cuba and you brought her here?
Yeah.
Okay, I have more questions about this.
So we've been here 15 years now, so.
Okay. So you went over to Cuba on vacation.
Yeah.
How did you meet her in Cuba?
At the resort. She was one of the dancers.
She worked at the resort?
Yeah.
A dancer.
Yeah. And I was drunk. So I went to my friends, I said, I'm going to marry her. And they're like, okay, bud. And then I took that as a dare, you know.
I married my wife on a dare.
You guys don't believe me? Watch.
And how long after that trip? So what city were you in Cuba?
In Coco.
Okay. And so you met her at the resort.
Yeah.
What, you got her information?
Yeah.
How did you contact her when you got home? Or did you bring her on the plane home?
No, email.
Email? For how long?
I didn't contact her for a few months because everyone was like, oh, you shouldn't talk to Cubans. They're just going to screw you over for money. But I really liked her. So then after I emailed her and I started going back. And then I started going back and forth for like a year.
Yeah.
It's fucking expensive.
Yeah.
Flying to Cuba all the time. And
Sure.
plus, there's no like cheap calling to Cuba. It's $2 a minute. They didn't have internet in Cuba at the time.
Yeah, they don't have good internet.
Now you can still, now they have like internet hubs and stuff, so you can talk to people. Like she calls her parents on WhatsApp and things like that. Like, you know, once a week they go to like a post office and get Wi-Fi or something.
Yeah.
But back then it was like $3 a minute. So it was costing me like $1,500 a month and just calls. So I was like,
God.
I was like, look, this is going really well. Why don't we get married? And, you know, you can get a Canadian citizenship. And if it doesn't work out, you can go back. You can stay in Canada. It was 15 years later, it's still going pretty good.
So how long from the day you went on that vacation to the day she came here?
2 years.
2 years. So you emailed and called for 2 years. And then did you go get her? Did she just get on a plane and come over here? Did you marry her there? Where did you marry her?
I had to marry her there.
You married her there, so then you could bring her back.
Yeah, so I put in all the paperwork.
Yeah.
And usually it can take like 2-3 years sometimes.
Okay.
But because we're the same age,
Yeah.
my family came for the wedding. There was pictures. I had all these phone receipts.
You had all the proof.
All the proof that it's a love marriage. Because they want to see if it's a love marriage or it's like some 70-year-old guy marrying an 18-year-old
Most of the
girl.
time it's someone got paid and yeah.
Yeah, or and the person in Cuba is just trying to get out of the country.
Yeah.
All that stuff. And they really make it hard. So she was here in 6 months, which was pretty quick.
That is
and
quick.
I was there on a vacation with a buddy to see her. And the day we landed, she got a call from Havana, from the Canadian embassy, saying, "Come to the embassy. We've got your paperwork. You can go to Canada."
Okay.
So she gets to the resort that I'm at, and of course the one trip where I book at the farthest point from Havana. Like I'd never been to this place called Pilon, which is like you go Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah.
In that area, it's like the total opposite side of the country. So I had to rent a car and drive 12 hours to Havana.
Okay. To get her paperwork.
To get her paperwork. Then my buddy went home he stayed the vacation, went home, whatever. So I stayed the first week with him, and then we drove there, got the papers, and went to see her family so she could say bye to everyone. Then we flew home from there. So it was a longer trip than expected. But at least I was already there.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Damn, you have an interesting story.
Yeah, it was fun.
So you met 2 years, and at what point, like you knew you wanted to marry her right away? How quick was she on board?
So the first thing she said to me when I told her, because I was drunk, I went up to her, I was like, I want to marry you. And she's like, right. She's like, I hear that every week from some drunken Canadian in Salt Lake, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, but seriously. She's like, you're too fat for me. And at that time, like I'm in decent shape now. At that time, I was in the best shape of my life. I was 23 years old.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
22, 23. So I've never had abs or anything like that. I've never been ripped.
Right.
But I was in pretty good shape.
Okay.
Like a flat stomach.
Yeah.
But she was a dancer, so all of her friends that
fit.
Rippling abs.
Yeah,
These people dance 12 hours a day. You know, so I was like, wait 5 minutes. I ran around the resort. I came back and did some push-ups. Like, what about now? And she's like, right. So I started following her around. So apparently how I won her over, though, was, I was chatting with her, and I was like, so how often do you see your family? Blah. She's like, oh, I haven't seen them in a month. I was like, really? And I was like, oh, she's like, when's your next day off? She's like, oh, Wednesday I'm off for a week. So she worked 3 weeks, and then she's off for a week. I was like, okay. On Wednesday, I'm going to rent a car and drive you there. So I rented a car, drove her to her family's house, and we hung out over there, and I brought some friends, and she took us partying in her little town. And she's like, that's when I kind of started to fall for you, because you, cared.
Right.
About, me and my family, and you weren't just some drunk guy trying to get laid. And,
sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's how you went over a Cuban, everybody.
That's it. Well, if you want to, depending on the Cuban,
give
right?
fucks about her family is the key.
They're very, one thing I like about Cuba is they're very family oriented.
Yeah, they are.
Because in communism, that's all you have. You have no money.
Yeah.
Right?
But, well, it's cultural too, right? It's like...
I think Latinos are very...
Most Spanish-speaking people, most Latinos are very family-centered.
Yeah. Very much so. Should we wrap it up?
Whenever you're ready.
All right, let's wrap it up. How can people find you?
Brad Gosse, BradGosse. Google.
Not Ben Gosse.
Not Ben Gosse. Yeah, I'm on all the things. Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Amazon, BradGosse.com. I'm on X. Yeah, I'm on all the things. Brad Gosse. I have the same username on everything. All the other Brad Gosses hate me because I took all the usernames. There's a whole bunch of them, and they don't like me. Because they try to get jobs, and then they wind up getting Googled.
It's just ruining a bunch of people's lives.
I'm just ruining lives, one Brad Gosse at a time.
You'd be surprised how many Zahans there are out there.
I'm not surprised.
I'm always like, what the hell, man? Why can't I never get my name on anything? I think there's like 6 of them. Okay. But those bastards got to everything before I did, I guess.
With the same last name as you?
No.
Oh.
But just the first name, Zahan.
Right.
There's a couple, and after I was like younger than me, there seems to be a bunch of people. Even in my family, like in India, there's a bunch of my mom's relatives who named their kids Zahan afterwards, and I was like, they don't even like me, those people. I'm surprised. Like we really like the name.
Nice. Nice.
All right, well, thanks so much for being on, and we'll have to do this again sometime.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
That's fun.
That was good.